Carlos Nelson with the Kansas City Business Association, and tonight we're having another guest on our series of elected officials that are trying to run for the Kansas City School District. Who do we have here?
I am Demonte Rochester.
Hey, Demonte, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where you come from. Some history.
I am Demonte Rochester again, and I am a lifelong Kansas Cityan, born and raised here in Kansas City. Most of my life has been here in the 3rd District. I am also a product of the Kansas City, Missouri School District, so the nation know that I started my rings right here in the Kansas City, Missouri School District, and one of the reasons why I'm running is because I'm a product of this great district.
What school did you go to in the district?
I went to a school by the name of it was called then Metropolitan Advanced Technical High School, better known as Metro Tech.
Metro Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting subject. What do you think about Vogue Techs and education here in Kansas City?
I think it's a great. One of the things when Dr. Bedell got here, I talked to him about that, is bringing a high school back, sort of like Metro Tech, is because that school paved the way for me because it gave you options as far as what type of career you wanted to get into, what type of career you wanted to go into.
How do you feel the district has served the African American community at large as it relates to the education, the quality of education that our kids receive?
I think we I'm not going to say we failed, but we have not did a whole lot. I mean, but we're going in the right direction. I mean, our latest achievement gap shows that when the kids gave 82.9 as far as our annual progress report, that's never happened in the history of Kansas City. So I think Dr. Bedell and his team are on the right track. And I think we got a little ways to go to make that happen.
What is your platform? Tell our audience the thing that you're interested in.
My platform is, I give you my big three. My big three are family and community engagement.
What does that look like?
Family engagement mostly is that if we give our more parents more resources to help them navigate themselves, it will give them more chances to get more involved in their child's education by providing them more resources to help their everyday life. And then in turn, that gives them more flexibility to be able to come back and like, okay, now I can get back and
do feedback and so forth.
Right.
All right. Number two.
And then number two would be family partners. Family partners is, reaching out to our churches, reaching out to other entities in this community to help us become more visible in the district.
All right. Three.
And then number three, communication. Communication, which means that we have a lack of communication here in this district. What I mean is that central office has a good communication, which means that they do a good job of diverting programs and things to the community. But when we get to the school level, there seems to be a communication gap, and we need to fix that.
All right, tell me this. With Cascade Media Group and our What's Up, we have the largest African American audience by probably 5 or 6 fold. We've never done any business with the Kansas City School District, and I'm like, what's that about? Communications. That's where I'm bringing that in. And do you think that they are communicating effectively with the district that you want to represent?
No, and that's one of the things I want to fix is be able to, reach out to Cascade, reach out to other entities that, that can provide a vessel and help us go where we need to go.
It's just like you sitting here for this interview. How many businesses or entities that are in the digital space allow you to be able to express to your community who you are and let your voice be heard?
It's not many. I mean, be outside of Cascade, I know there's one more entity, which will be KUAW.
Right.
And my goal is to be able to have Cascade and KUAW be a vessel, because those are the two vessels that we have
in our community. Being very underutilized.
Absolutely.
George over there, they're doing an excellent job of integrating all walks of life, and that in education, that's what we got. We need to know where to go get the information, easy access. All right. How do you feel about sports in Kansas City School District?
I mean, I think we have come a long way. I mean, for the first time, one of Dr. Bedell's first things was to do is to have, every school have their own stadium where kids and families can walk to their own school instead of having to go to Southeast for every sporting game. I mean, for a sporting game. So I mean, I think we're on the right track.
Because I'm cutting you off a little bit. You go to the suburban districts, they got 3-4 gyms. Our schools, they got one gym. You got the track team, the basketball team, the soccer team, the baseball team, the cheerleading team, all in one area. And how can that be a level playing field for our kids to compete?
I mean, it's not a level playing field, and I mean, once again, I say is that once we get on the map and we start winning championships and we get some of that money coming back to the district for sports, I think that's going to change the dynamics. Until then, I mean, we're tapped out as far as sports goes here in the inner city.
And with the downtown council, and do you think the corporate community has paid its proper share to upgrade our urban core?
No, I mean, I was just talking.
And what would you do about that?
I was just talking to the mayor about this the other day. I was like, listen, we're losing $35 million a year off of TIP projects. That money could be diverted back to the Kansas City School District so that we can have money for our own pre-K, and then we can have money for transportation and other issues that we have in our own district.
How do you feel about that pre-K?
I think the pre-K is horrible because it has no equity. There was no parents involved in the table, and then thirdly, that why are we charging a fee for public education? That's horrible.
So, what are some of the other things that you care about that you feel that if you get in office that you can lend some stability to?
I mean, like I said, I've been having my passion is for this district, and my passion is for kids, families, in the community. And I believe that my expertise as far as being the chair of the board of the Salvation Army East Side, being able to sign off on budgets and being able to do different things already on a board has put me in this position to go.
All right, speaking of that, tell our audience some of your personal accomplishments.
As of right now, I am the vice chair of the District Advisory Council, which means that we are the voice between the community schools and right between the school board, and also being able to be a voice by being able to sit with school board members currently on the Government Relations Committee to talk about the legislative issues. So being on this board has gave me the platform to be able to talk to Dr. Bedell about issues that's facing our parents' issues, and being able to talk about Dr. Bedell about community issues has given me this platform, and I believe that I'm better utilized and a better candidate than my opponents.
How astute and are you, and what kind of skills do you have in building coalitions?
I've been in this community for a long time. I started in this community when Emmanuel Cleaver was first mayor, and I've been able to be on the focus community, to learn how to bridge gaps and bring people together, and being able to bring people to the table, and that's where I learned these things from.
Tell me this: with the school board turning completely over, do you think that our community really was aware of that?
No, and that's another thing, that when we went from 9-member board to a 7-member board and everything changed, the community really didn't have a say so in this process, and I think that kind of
that's where that communications comes into play. I learned about what had happened the Thursday before that Tuesday was the last time that you could register as a candidate. And I made some phone calls to some pretty influential people in our community and said, "Did you know this?" And no, they knew the election was coming, but they didn't know that the whole board had been turned over, and that the board had shrunk. And how does that look for the African American community? Instead of having 9 board members, now you have 7 board members. What does that do to the dilution of the power of the urban core board?
Well, thanks for saying that. Now that you say that This seat right here that I'm running for is the only predominantly black seat on the board, period. This is the only one predominantly black seat on the board. This seat represents majority of all your black schools, from Central High to Central Middle to J. Rogers. This is the predominantly black seat only on the board.
So we got a predominantly black district that ultimately is not going to have the representation that it should from the African American community.
Absolutely.
And that, to me, that shows a lack of previous leadership. And I want to know, really, how do you plan to not fall into that same category? Because I think this is atrocious what is happening with the school board right now.
It is. And how I plan to do it is to be that one school board member that that's always out in the community, explaining to our community what's going on, and being more effective that way. Because you have to communicate to your audience. You have to communicate and let people know that you are that voice. And I want to be that voice. I want people to, not only see me as I'm always around the community as I is anyway at a meeting, but I want to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how you're going to be affected by this, and this is the vote that we're going to be coming up with. So that's going to be my job, is to let people know what is actually going on with this side of the district.
All right. In closing, is there anything specific that you would like to tell our audience, and tell our audience how they can contact you?
Sure, I can be contacted by Facebook, email, and what I'd like for the people to know out there in the land is that I have been in this community since forever. I started my community involvement through AmeriCorps. I was a AmeriCorps member. Then after I got out of AmeriCorps, I went and worked for former Councilwoman Mary Williams Neal, who kind of took me under her hands and showed me how to be an effective leader and be able to learn how to bring people to the table and learn how to just not be accoladed, but stand behind the scenes and just learn and grow.
Make some things happen.
And that's how I've been able to be where I am today.
All right, it's a pleasure having you on the show, and we wishing you the best of luck.
I appreciate that.
All right.
This program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.